Thanks again for joining me for Katy's Corner. Super excited to be here with Norman Rice. Norman, your name is synonymous with Extreme Networks. So thanks for joining me. I know you and I talked, I can't remember, it was a couple of years ago, and life has changed since we talked. So why don't we just start with the basics? Tell us, your responsibilities may be more than what they were last time we spoke, but tell us about what you do at Extreme.
Sure. So thanks, Katy. And it was a couple of years ago and it was in person. So we were in
Yes.
Salem, New Hampshire. We actually got to see each other face to face and have a chat. And that was certainly, it seems like a lifetime ago at this point.
I know.
So my role within Extreme, so as Chief Operating Officer, I have a wide, call it range of activities and across the entire business. So on the operations side, supply chain, order management, service delivery, the IT organization. I also have hardware engineering, so Chris Whitman and team. And then on the go-to-market side, I have business development, marketing, comms, and sales and distribution. So distribution sales. So that's
Right.
the house. So we the way I think about it is really operations and go-to-market, and then there's overlap areas in those functions. So
yeah. Well, life, I mean, what a vast, scope of responsibility you have. And, life has changed for us on almost every area that you have, right? We did the Aerohive deal, and so we've pivoted to the cloud. So we're completely shifting our focus there. We had the China tariff issues and all the supply chain issues. So why don't we start with operations? Because tell us a little bit about kind of some of the challenges we had and all the great success that we've overcome, because I think it's pretty massive what we've done in that area.
Yeah, it's no shortage. What we've done over the years and certainly most recently is we drove digitization across the entire supply chain operations side of our business, which flows really into our channel and our distribution. And so what that means is we now have visibility with the tools and systems we have in place to understand from inception all the way through delivery to the end customer where the products are or the solutions are anywhere in their life, in their cycle. And adapting to the change is an understatement. It started with tariff, so we had to move production from one market to another. We had to put in place ways to reclaim with your team. How do we reclaim the tariffs? How do we work through that process and Remy's team? And then it's evolved into the multi-phases of COVID, where we looked at phase one was everything froze. So sales froze, operations froze, product. We couldn't find anything. We didn't know how to service customers. So we started there and the supply chain adapted to that. How do we pull things forward? How do we work together? How do we do all those types of things? Phase two was really, okay, as demand's picking up, we have logistical challenges. So no flights are happening. Products aren't moving anywhere. How do we get them from A to B? How do we create the proper support matrix to make sure customers are getting supported out in the field with Kevin Gray and team, the GTAC team, and all the SLAs that are out there. And then phase three, which is what we're in today, which is really now what? We have a total dislocation between supply and demand. Demand spiked as a result of work from home and really what, as we talk about with Nabil, the infinite enterprise, but the work from home phenomenon has driven up consumer electronics, it's driven up all types of things. And then we have an acute shortage that's happening in the component side, really in the microchip side is where it's most pronounced, because there was a constriction in what investments were being made. And so capacity is lower until it returns. So we're in this really unique set of cycles that we've been able to adapt to as a business. And without that first piece, without having the digitization, without having put in place the programs and systems that Jack Lyon and the entire team put in place, we would be in a whole different situation. But we're there, we're able to adapt. It's not perfect, it's constantly improving, but the teams have done an outstanding job. On the IT front, we see it every day. We're communicating through this medium. We're able to conduct and have productive business operations, engagement with customers, doing meetings with customers around the world, doing our events, our QBRs with no disruption It's because we made the right decision 2 to 3 years ago to flip over to Zoom and Microsoft. That's what we did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
Yeah.
with,
What a great call that was. Perfect timing.
yeah, Jeff and team and Dan Adam, again, shout out to Dan. He did a real nice job for us. And a big shout out to John Abel, who just joined us as
Yeah.
CIO.
Yeah, tell us about John. John's got an incredible background.
John does have an incredible background. He came to us from Veritas. He's out in the marketplace. Quick fun fact, this is hot off the presses. His announcement just went out and he topped his own record. So when he shared his announcement about being named CIO of Extreme, 18,000 views on his LinkedIn. So
That's amazing.
John's getting some attention, which is awesome. And it's awesome
Right.
for us because really we brought John on to help us amplify our brand out with the customer base, out in the marketplace, and with our product teams really driving what do we need to evolve our technologies and how do we become much more and continue to build on our competitiveness there. So all good stuff.
Well, speaking of our brand, Wes, of course, reports to you, and marketing is a big focus for us. And we've really up-leveled that area as well.
Yep.
So can you talk a little bit about that? I know we've talked a lot about some of our partnerships, but can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So as you mentioned, operations and on the go-to-market side. So it's Wes, Eliza, Darren Dulac for BD, and Jonas for our distribution and sales teams. So that whole function interoperates in a variety of ways. And Wes is really at the helm. Eliza's on Wes's team now, and they're together, taking on the world of brand and taking on the world of up-leveling and leads and building pipeline. And we continue to evolve there. We have to improve. Our objectives are to really improve that handoff of the digital lead through the system into the pipeline and increasing velocity of opportunity flow and transactions. So if you rewind to our last conversation, at that time, we ran 400 physical events a year, hand-to-hand combat, where our teams were out there doing physical events. We're at a partner event, we're at our own events, we were at big events, and we were meeting with people face to face. That was our forte. And really the digital marketing aspects were supporting that. Totally flipped. In the last 12 months, team has done an outstanding job flipping that paradigm. We're digital first, physical, and secondarily, we're looking at ways to get back on the road to run more intimate events. And you see how we've been able to traverse that. Our Connect event was our big first one. 10,000 users showed up to the event, which is outstanding. Our partner event, we got about 6,000 that showed up. And that was the beginning of us really up-leveling our digitization. And we continue to do that. We're investing in and building more robust platforms to do the lead handoffs, convert these, and start running those events and activities at a greater pace and scale as we return to the workforce. The big thing around brand and exciting, we just launched the Major League Baseball announcement, which this is global. And it's global because Major League Baseball runs jewel events, which they call their top tier events, not just in North America, but they run them in England, they run them in South Korea and in Japan. So we're going to have a lot of opportunities for our teams globally to get engaged. And stay tuned, Katy. It won't be long before we have a partnership announcement in that similar category in Europe, and we're
amazing
deals there. So it's exciting.
Yeah, no, that is super exciting. Well, you also have business development, and all of our acquisitions start with you and your team. And we've done 4 transformative acquisitions, at least since Ed's been here. And people always ask, what's next? Are we going to buy another company? And, so can you just talk a little bit? I know that there's probably a lot you can't tell me, otherwise you'd have to shoot me, but tell me, like, how do you think about it? And how does it all start, and kind of what could be on the horizon for us?
Well, first of all, every single deal, you and I are in it together. So we may not be able to disclose to anybody else, but we certainly know what's going on.
Right.
The teams, your team, Katy and Darren Dulac, who's done a great job really front ending a lot of opportunities. And then our engagement with Nabil's team, looking at the technologies, how do we use it? Joe's team on sales. That's the
Yes.
evaluation process. And
Right.
really, what happens is we get a lot of inbounds from banks. People give us ideas, suggestions. We have our own ideas and suggestions from coming in from products, from the product team, coming in from sales team, partner teams, and from Darren's team independently. And we look
Yeah.
at those and assess where are our gaps, where are some things that we could look at, as well as our own internal gaps in the portfolio. And
Yeah.
historically, our gap was scale. So how do we
Mhm.
create scale? How do we add to the portfolio in terms of technology, reach, customer base, and partner base? And we really accomplished that. We put
Yeah.
together a series of deals together, as you know, and we
Mhm.
create scale. Adding Arrowhive gave us innovation across the portfolio with cloudification, set us off in this direction around providing as a service technologies, increasing subscription, changing our relationship with our end customers. Now the question is, now what? We do have a
Right.
few known, gaps in our portfolio where we
Mhm.
want to continue to emphasize and build out services and new services that we can offer through our cloud platforms and expand our relationship with customers. And that's really our
Yeah.
focus. So the type
Mhm.
of things we're looking at fall into that category. We're also opportunistic on scale. Scale is still out there. And when those
Mhm.
come up, we'll talk to them, we'll understand. And if it's going to create more confusion than what we need, we're not going to go down that path. But if we believe we can really use scale and certainly augment the portfolio, those are our areas of focus.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I know it's obviously you have your hands full. One of the things that we're dealing with real time right now is, well, first off, COVID for the last 13 months, but putting our return to office plan. And I just wanted to see what your thoughts are about returning to office, working remotely. There are people who may not know. So where is your home office? Where do you work out of?
So I'm in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So
Mhm.
I live in Newcastle, New Hampshire, which is this island off Portsmouth, and
Yeah,
I commute downtown. I have a small office I've had forever,
yeah,
and it's a one person, and I'm here right now. You can't tell because I've got this background, but what it does for me is it actually helps with sort of the separation of home and
right,
work, even though I'm working from home. And
right.
but that said, Katy, what I espouse to my teams, people ask all the time. We do real times, we do our all hands. They ask, what's the plan? When are we going
Yeah,
back? Do we need to go back?
right.
What's the story? And the answer is what we found is our teams are as productive, if not more productive. It's different, but
Right.
in the current scenario. So I don't see a scenario requiring our teams to be at an office every day at all. I don't see a
Right.
scenario like that. What I see is if you need to go in for something, you have to work in a lab, you have to do a GTAC support, you need to work
Right.
on the product, or you have a customer event, or you want to get together as a team, those become more ad hoc. And
Right.
that's what I see the future as for us at extreme, certainly within my groups, and I believe for the
Yeah.
company, that that's the type of footprint. And
Yeah.
it's, I feel on a personal level, it is a big commute down to Salem to go
Mhm.
to the office. I also, like you, I was traveling 3 weeks plus a month. I
Right.
don't miss it. Um,
Right.
I don't mind. I like being in front of customers. I like being in
Right.
front of partners, uh, and all those types of things. But being on the road every week, uh,
But the good news, Norman, not to interrupt you, but with Zoom is that you're probably all over the globe every day without jet lag and going into hotel rooms and traveling and all that, right?
totally, it's equally effective. And you think of, do customers really want us in their facility? Sometimes they do. Sometimes they
Yeah.
don't. And
Right.
it's a balance. I think what we've all
Yeah.
learned from this is that the stigma of work from home is now gone. If it existed, it's 100% gone. People do
Right.
work,
Yeah.
and then also it's also as we look at our own operational elements when we do QBRs or we do different types of internal meetings. we don't we don't need to draw everybody to a physical location to accomplish what we need to accomplish. We can do
Right.
that in this medium. There are
Yeah.
folks will be activities, times, and events where we do want to get together and have meetings and do demos and reviews and our user events and our other
Right.
partner activities. But it's a balance, and but for all of us that are working remote, just like you are, I
Yeah.
think this is the world that we're in.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned balance, and I know that you have two amazing kids and your wife. And so tell us a little bit about them and how it's been. I know you're spending a lot more time at home, and just tell us a little bit about your family.
Yeah, it's been great to really reconnect with
And by the way, many of us saw them when you did story time last year during COVID, which was
well,
awesome.
all of them. So
Yeah.
there's my wife Annie,
Mhm.
my daughter Maggie, and my son Norman.
Yeah.
So Maggie and Norman read stories, and
Yeah.
saw both their characters on
Yeah.
display. And then
How old are they now?
Norman is 14, Maggie's 11. So Norman's grown.
Wow.
He's in 8th grade, and he plays lacrosse, skis, plays football, and swims. And he's going to high school. He's going to Phillips Academy next year, which we're fired up.
Oh, wow. That's great.
And,
Fantastic.
and Maggie's doing great. She's in 5th grade, and she's a lacrosse player, soccer player, skier, swimmer, and
Nice.
just
Busy.
yeah, it's just fun, playing sports and learning about teamwork and engagement. That's something we've always, been very
Yeah.
strong. My wife and I are just very strong fundamentally about that. And then we have 2 dogs and 2 cats who made it to the I think in there. So we're all twos, two.
Yeah. It's
So there's
awesome.
never a shortage
So
of stuff.
Norman, you manage so much as our chief operations officer, so many different groups, such a big chunk of the company. You've got a busy family life. So how do you manage it, and what are your words of advice for our employees there's no way they could replicate what you're doing, but replicate a part of it.
Sure they can. I think just the words of advice is just be true to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be, keep consistent and be grounded. One of the things I found out about myself many years ago was just be grounded and have a good sense of humor, because, things happen. There's going to be
Yeah.
good news and bad news, and don't
Yeah.
get worked up one way or the other. Just sort of go with it, and make sure you have goals and you achieve those goals, but have humility along the way.
Yeah.
And just having a sense of humor about the stuff, because at the end of the day, we're all working towards a great end. We believe in where we're going as a business, but we're doing it for each other, and we're doing it so that we can all up level, everything around us, society, challenging complexity, raising connection, but for all of us, helping us evolve our own lives and be able to achieve what we want to achieve. And there's humility in that. And then there's humor in just don't take
Everything.
it. It's not the end of the world, right? We're all here, and you can have fun with things.
Yeah. Awesome. Norman, thank you so much. You've spent so much time, and I really appreciate it. I know you're super busy, so thank you so much. And, thanks for everything that you do for Extreme and for spending a few minutes of your time with me.
Katy, first of all, anytime, and congratulations to you taking on the sustainability role. I haven't said a lot of
Yeah.
that publicly, but that's awesome. And the idea of what you're pursuing there, in addition to your day jobs, is so cool. And just
Thanks, Norman.
being a leader for us with the Women's Council, and just being a role model for a lot of the team, including several people on my team. I know you're
Yeah.
advising and coaching folks. So thank you for that.
Of course. Of course. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right. You too.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.